In this video, I'll tell you why imperfection is a virtue in miniature painting, and why it's missing from the Golden Demon. Miniature painting is an art. Whether you're just starting out or whether you've been doing it for years, it's an art whether you consider yourself an artist or you're just a machine that converts like paint and Red Bull and tears into finished armies in 48 hours or less. Whether you exactly follow the box art or completely go off the rails, it's still a result of your artistic expression. And you shouldn't ever expect perfection. In fact, I believe you should actively try to avoid it. Let me tell you about the Golden Demon. A few weeks back, I was at Adepticon in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the largest tabletop wargaming convention in the US. I brought back a bunch of treasures, from the vendor hall. Some might say I brought back some booty. Pachow. But there's all kinds of stuff that goes on at that convention, not just shopping, right? Like there's tournaments and seminars and classes and demos, and there's also a bunch of different painting competitions that are held there as well. The most well-known of the painting competitions at Adepticon, of course, is the Golden Demon. The Golden Demon is a long-running painting competition helmed by Games Workshop. It's probably the most recognizable miniature painting competition in the world. And it doesn't just happen at Adepticon, right? Like the next one is going to be held at the massive Spiel Essen tabletop convention in Germany sometime in October. Painters work all year and sometimes even longer to paint up their entries for the competition. Now, I don't really like the Golden Demon. Like it's only for Games Workshop models, which I understand from a marketing perspective, but it's very limiting, right? And there are other limits as well. Making sure that you have the exact lore-accurate squad markings on your Space Marines is more important than artistic merit, it seems, right? A really cool-looking decal or like freehand somewhere on the model that really elevates the overall paint job will actually remove a model from consideration if it doesn't properly follow the kind of constantly shifting lore. After seeing the results for the 15 years that I've been paying attention, these days it seems like the Golden Demon is less about art and more about rigid expression of Games Workshop's marketing plan. I could go on, but that's not really why we're here. One of the most important things that seems to really win awards at the Golden Demon is perfection. This was no more evident than in the 2022 Golden Demon at Adepticon, where a single skink model by Gavin Garza won the Slayer Sword, otherwise known as basically Best in Show, right? It was just a skink standing on a rock, like skinks do, right? It was probably perfectly painted, like basically flawless, but honestly, it left me personally kind of wanting, right? Like it was basically just box art, an ad for skinks. And I didn't really feel anything when looking at it. But what do I know? One thing I do know is that the pursuit of perfection is prohibitive. I talked about this a long time ago. Pachow. And this is maybe going to be a bit of a 2026 redo of that topic to some degree, just with a decade more experience under my belt, both as a painter and as a video creator. The long and the short of it is that perfection is a terrible goal in art. Perfect art is an oxymoron. Art really can't be perfect. Perfection goes against the idea of what art made by humans means, right? As I've been painting more and more and just generally getting older, I've started to embrace the idea of wabi-sabi. Wabi-sabi is a Japanese aesthetic concept that finds beauty, value, and serenity in imperfection, impermanence, and simplicity. Think like old, like weathered wood objects or, handmade items, worn-in materials, stuff like that. Wabi-sabi shows that nothing is perfect, nothing lasts, and nothing is finished. In my opinion, these concepts are well placed to help you as a miniature painter to work with more confidence and freedom and to be able to expand your miniature art without worry about whether you're doing it right. Like, give up the pursuit of perfection. When you're first starting out painting miniatures, wabi-sabi should be your guide. People sometimes use the term happy accidents when referring to a thing that they tried that didn't work out the way that they had planned, right? But it still resulted in something that they liked. As an example, you used a dark wash to kind of try to pop the details on your models. You wanted the wash to sink into the crevices and then dry there and then make the crevices darker, right? That happened, but maybe your wash was thicker than you thought, and now it darkened the tone of your overall model. But that can also, be a good thing. A darker model seems darker emotionally as well, right? Dark, dim models can come across as spooky and evil. This happy accident can add to the story that you're trying to tell with your miniatures. And though you may not realize it, you're always trying to tell a story with your miniatures, whether they're grungy, war-torn veterans covered in grime or clean, new recruits heading into battle for the first time. That's part of their story. And embracing wabi-sabi is what helps you to discover all of this and more. Wabi-sabi embraces the perfectly imperfect and leans into the authentic and natural instead of aiming for flawless work. We're all human, right? So there's going to be flaws in most situations. It's best to take that into consideration when you start working on any new project, especially when you're painting for the tabletop. Now, if you're trying to win a Slayer sword specifically, that particular thing, then I guess you better try to be literally perfect. But if you want something that's interesting and uniquely you, then you should appreciate the imperfections that make your miniature paint jobs an extension of your personality. I painted these awesome cultist models from Bestiarum, link in the description below, recently for me and Vince's upcoming game, Repent, Ye Foolish Gods. We talked about it during the recording of our live podcast at Adepticon. Pachow, if you want to go and check it out. Anyway, I wanted them to look dark and evil, wasted and pale and like twisted and stuff. And I wanted most of their garments to be kind of different shades of red as well. They're certainly not perfect. I painted them pretty quickly because I needed them done pretty quickly. But that imperfect quality helps to tell their story, and I think they turned out pretty well. Wabi-sabi also applies in kit bashing too. If you try to make everything look perfect, then it makes it a bit less kit bash, again, at least in my mind. The most interesting kit bashes for me are the ones where you can see some, or maybe even a lot, of the imperfection between the parts. Look at folks like Trent Holbrook from Miscast, the Hivescum podcast crew, and frankly, most, hashtag kitbash posts on Instagram. And you'll find the amazing kind of wabi-sabi that I've been talking about. The pursuit of perfection is prohibitive. Don't prohibit yourself. Whether you're interested in weird and grimy figures or even pretty clean and normal-looking space marines, you can still find immense value in embracing wabi-sabi in your miniature painting. Working really loosely with your paint can work great for some miniatures, and then, moving a bit slower to take care on other minis is also needed. It depends on the models and the story you want to tell. But wabi-sabi is also an attitude, taking things kind of as they come. Sure, if you got a bit of paint on a part of the mini that you didn't intend to, you can fix it if it's, easy to do, or, leave it be. The important thing is to just keep moving forward, keep building, keep painting. If you find that you aren't building and painting because you're concerned that you're, not going to get it perfect, you need to understand that perfection shouldn't be your goal. Finished miniatures should be your goal, even if they're not perfect, especially if they're not perfect. In many situations, the specific lack of perfection that you follow is what's frequently known as your style. And having a style that you love and that others can identify is better than being perfect. So embrace imperfection. Be imperfect on purpose. Get paint on models, get models done, and find your style via a belief in wabi-sabi. It's changing the way that I think about how I paint. And remember, wabi-sabi also recognizes that nothing is ever truly finished. So you can always go back to the models in the future if you really want to. Does wabi-sabi speak to you like it does to me? Let us all know down in the comments below. And please, do some imperfect depressmentation to the like button to kind of help spread the word. Or you can hit the hype button down there as well if YouTube has given you one to hit. It all does help. And if you're interested, while you're down there, there's a subscribe button you can hit to see more videos like this every single Friday. It's free. Thanks for watching.